What is up, everybody? My name is Hunter Friel, and I know that some of you might remember me from making these videos from a few years ago, and some of you may not. So, um, it's been a while since I've done these videos, like I said, and to be honest with you guys, I just got so busy with school and work that I just kind of got sidetracked. My brain just kept getting further and further away from making these videos. And these videos, they take time and effort, and I try to do a good job at them. I'm not a great editing guy, okay, but I did like making these videos. And I'm gonna try to get back into that. So, like I said, it's been like 3 years maybe since I made a lot, 2 or 3 years ago. Um, but anyways, I was going through them and I realized that the last Life Changer I did was Life Changers Day 24. So I figured for my first video back in a long time, why not just kind of pick back up where I left off and go to Life Changers Day 25. So how this is going to work is I'm going to read through this little passage, and it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs, just with one page. And so if you don't know what a life changer is, it's basically these not videos. It's these stories that Phil Robertson and Al Robertson it's experiences that they have encountered with other people, and they relate it to the Bible, and they share like life lessons from them and spiritual lessons from them, to kind of help others. So, um, so far I think on YouTube I did 24 of them. So I'm gonna pick back up on day 25. So I'm just going to read through this passage, and then we're going to kind of talk about it a little bit. And I read through this one earlier, and I think it's really important because you'll see here in a minute. But this one is called A Dead Man Walking, and the Bible verse that kind of correlates with this whole passage is Hebrews 9:27. People are destined to die once, and after that to face judgment. So here we go. There are two problems keeping you and me from getting to heaven: sin and death. If you ask most folks if they've ever sinned, they'll say, yep, and the Bible says once you sin, you'll never get to heaven on your own. That's the bad news. The good news is that when Jesus went to the cross, he solved both our sin and death problems. God made it as easy as he could for us to one day be with him in heaven. Are you with me so far? Good. You're doing better than Jimmy. This young dude must have had a head full of concrete. We were sitting in my living room talking about his need for Jesus if he wanted to get to heaven. But the whole time, Jimmy tried to convince me that he was never going to die, so he didn't need Jesus. I was mighty perplexed about a human saying that he wouldn't ever die. I read the verse in Hebrews that all people are destined to die, and quoted what the Bible said about every man's need to invite Jesus into his heart if he wanted to be resurrected. Jimmy just replied, I'm not buying that. I'm not going to die. Well, everyone else dies, I said. Just look through history, man. If you're lucky, you'll live to be 75 or 80. A few hit 100, but we all die, dude. Face it. He said, you ain't going to stand there and tell me I'm going to die. I kept on trying to reason with him for hours. After a while, he stormed out and headed down the road. 2 months later, the guy who brought Jimmy to my house in the first place called me and said, you know that guy you argued with about dying? Yeah, I said, Jimmy. He just did. Really? How'd he die? A man stabbed him about 15 or 20 times in a bar. I felt bad that I hadn't pressed Jimmy more. But what can you do with a guy who refuses to accept that he's going to die? I mean, I kept preaching the gospel to him in spite of his stubbornness. It was almost like the Almighty was giving him one last shot. Jimmy heard the good news, but he didn't really want to hear it. And 2 months later, what he said would never happen did happen. As Jimmy hit the floor with his blood flowing out of him, I have to wonder whether the thought crossed his mind. I now understand what the old guy down by the river was trying to tell me. And since none of us know when our time will be up on this earth, if you don't know Jesus, I pray that you will get that squared away today. That's a pretty scary story. I mean, it's kind of you would think that's pretty crazy for someone to say that they're not going to die. I think we all at times take things for granted in life, where we think maybe not in a death situation, but excuse me, maybe not in a death maybe not in a death situation, but maybe I know, I can speak for myself. Sometimes we take things for granted. We take situations in life for granted. Sometimes we are in such a good spot in life, we think we have it all figured out, and I got everything's good with me, nothing bad's going to happen to me. And then as soon as that happens, it seems like every time that you kind of get a little hot-headed, a little cocky in life, that's when the curveballs come. And kind of the same thing can happen when it comes to life and death situations. When it comes to, oh, I'm not going to die. Like, you might be the healthiest person in the world. You might be Olympic gold medalist. I don't know. And, something may, I hope, God forbid, but you never know. Something may happen to you the next day, or the next hour, whatever, after an event or something. Bottom line is, you can be as healthy as can be, or sick as a dog, and you never know when your time's up. You never know when it's your turn to go meet the Lord. And like he said at the end, he said, I pray that you get that squared away today, and I do too. That's a scary thing to think about. There are people in this world that don't know Jesus. And you don't have to be perfect. I'm not telling you to be perfect, okay? The whole point of this passage here is that you need a relationship with Jesus. You need to put your faith and trust in him if you want to go to heaven. If you want to live an eternal life after we die from this short period that we call life on earth, if you want to live in an eternity with God, all you need is a relationship with the Lord and put your faith in him. That's all you need. You don't have to be perfect, okay? I'm not perfect at all, okay? So, we all get caught up in the world. It happens, and we're all going to make mistakes, no matter whether you put your faith in God today or whenever. Whether you're a new Christian or a 30-year-old Christian, you're going to make mistakes. That just happens, okay? But there's a difference between someone who doesn't believe in God, like this guy. Like, who knows if he got right with God at the end? Maybe he did have a wake-up call, or God was giving him his last shot to kind of, whenever he was in his last seconds, to make that decision to follow Jesus. And it very well could have happened. I don't know, and it doesn't seem like anybody, like Phil doesn't know, but you just never know. That's why it's so important to have it figured out today. Not life in general, but squared away is what I mean. That was the right word to say. Have your relationship with God squared away to where you know that if the Lord came back today, you're going with him. Because when it comes down to it, I'm not trying to say this to scare anybody at all. Because I know that the average person, a normal person, would be afraid to die. Someone would be afraid, a person would be afraid to die. As a Christian, we shouldn't be. Okay, now I'm not saying we shouldn't be afraid to go stand in the middle of the road and let a Mack truck run over us. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that our life on earth is such a short period of time. Such a short period of time compared to our life in heaven. It's eternity. When we go to heaven, it's eternal. Okay, we're there forever. Okay, where there's no pain and suffering. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like. But the whole point of this is that we need to, get our relationships right with the Lord and put our faith in him today before it's too late. So if there's someone out there that's watching this video and you do not know Jesus, you don't have a relationship with him, I encourage you to do that right now. I encourage you to invite him into your life and to let him guide you for the rest of your life. Because trust me, life is a whole lot simpler with God in your life versus, doing things on your own. Because, like I said, curveballs are always going to be coming. And if you're doing it on your own, it's a whole lot harder. When God has already planned our life out. God has already got an age and a day picked out when we're all going to die. As soon as we were born, He knew when we were going to die. Okay? He knows that. We don't know that. So that's why it's so important. Okay? And we shouldn't be afraid because we're going to go live for eternity after this in heaven. Okay? With Jesus Christ Himself. So how exciting is that? That's pretty freaking awesome to me. So I hope this video helps. Like I said, if there's someone out there who doesn't know Jesus, I invite you to do that today. Ask Jesus into your life. Make Him the Lord of your life. Yeah, so if you guys like this video, you can go to thumbs up, share it with your friends and whatnot, and hopefully soon I can get another one out. And hope you guys enjoyed this video, and stay tuned, and God bless. Have a good day.